Welcome to my podcast.
No, no, no. This is not a podcast. This is my inner voice. So let's be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Stay for the next episode of It's Not You, It's My Inner Voice.
Hello, everyone. How are you? So, this is my first episode live, and the fourth episode that we will be having in this podcast is Not You, It's My Inner Voice. And today's quote, it's a very deep quote into what we have been talking about with a friend, and he says, "The world is better because you are in it. Don't forget that shit." Yes, we're using bad words. We're all adults here. So I will have my dear friend Carlos to welcome him to my podcast. I wanted to share with him this safe space so you can meet him. And this is something that I had in my thoughts when I started my podcast. It's not about me, my life, or everything that has happened, but it's actually an experience for the ones that I love or that I have so much thankfulness to them because of what they have meant in my life. So I'm gonna welcome Carlos. His name is Carlos Alvarez, well known as Carlitos. Welcome.
Hi, Dennis. How you doing?
Good. So for the Americans, or for the ones that don't know me, my name is Diana Ariza, and in Colombia, I'm known as Dianita or Dianis. So, and meet my dear friend Carlos Alvarez. He's also from
Colombia.
yes, and the
Yes.
city
Cali, Colombia.
yes. So we
Yeah,
were
but
today about that the difference of where we come from. So for those of you who do not know that much about Colombia, I'm from the capital, Bogota, which we are known to be the different ones, the cold-blooded people. And I always said to Carlos, I thought you were from Bogota as well, but no.
no, like that's my fun side. My fun side comes from where I'm from. From Cali. We're known to be the World Cup, the Salsa World Capital. Shit. Yeah, don't mind me.
It's okay.
We were ready for
We're
this. We were
allowed.
prepared for this. Yeah.
It's okay. So remember, this is a safe space. We're authentic. We're here to be ourselves. And yes, those Americans or the ones who speak English know that when it's our second language, we get stuck with the words, and that's fine. It's allowed. We're in a safe space, safe environment. I wanted to do this podcast as talk about our life, how we are, who we are, and to be ourselves and show our superpower. So I hope you feel the same way, Carlitos, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you for the invite. I think we had many amazing conversations, and this can be one of them.
Yes, now it could be public.
Yes.
So we will keep it as clean as possible.
Oh, definitely, always.
So regarding the topic today, so Carlos chose the quote that we have today. And just to let you know, my quotes come from this book. It's called "It Will Be Okay and You Will Be Too." It's I like poems or quotes that are in a book, and I love those kind of books. And when he chose this quote, tell me, Carlitos, why you chose this quote in particular.
Um, well, first of all, like a lot of people take for granted what they contribute to the world, right? I seen a lot of depression. I seen suicide. I experienced a lot of things that made me realize and take for or like not take for granted friendships and the people that are around me, right? And and having those internal conversations have also give me the perspective that yes, you do matter. No matter what you do, there is a reason why you're here. There is a reason why we're having this conversation. And I see that when I go to a bar or when I have a conversation with a stranger. where they're going through a tough time. It's like, hey, look, if I would have died years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and a lot of things would be different, right? If I had an accident, or being pessimistic when you see scenarios that you're like, oh man, I should just give up. And
Yes.
on those situations, it's like when you realize the impact that you have to those around you, you know,
Sure.
even
And
on the tough times.
yeah, and I think you've been in my tough times, and a lot of it. So just to give people like backstory, I don't even know how I met Carlitos. Now that I'm
Well,
like,
no, no, no. I do remember. I do remember. We were working at a call center in Convergence.
oh my God,
That
yes.
was that was like 2006, 2007, somewhere around there.
Yes. Okay, so I was in high school.
No, you were in
I
college.
was in high school doing college at the same time.
Oh, that's right.
And so we used to work in this call center in Fort Lauderdale. We don't want to say names. We don't want to. We're gonna
Well, I did already, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
hear that part. But yes, we met in the call center. It's funny. I couldn't remember. I was just going through my brain like, hey, we have met for many years. And long story short, when I was in the call center, I think I was around 17. One of my followers asked me a couple of questions and I'm gonna answer them here. So she was asking me for my transition and my things. Later on I will go deep in that. But when I was in high school, I did my last 2 years in college, and I remember I got that job in summer because a friend, her mom was the manager. And then because me, everybody who is going through a tough time is like, oh, so I got a job. Do you want to working here? It's good hours, good salary. So I got all my college friends and high school friends in there. So a bunch of us were working in that call center.
Mm.
And we used to sell many stuff, and literally it was in the computer, like reading stuff, and it was funny. It was a
But
fun.
it was really fun because you can actually talk, and I used to draw all the time. So yeah, it was fun. Like, we had a good time. I don't have any complaints about that place. I had a blast.
Yeah, well, okay, so tell me the background of it. Why did you end up in that job, and what has been your life since you came to United States?
Well, I got here on my late teens. I finished high school, went to college, and but I was living on my own since I'm 20.
Okay.
So at the time, like when I found that job, I was just coming from another not so good paying job at the time, and yeah, I end up there and made a lot of great friends at
Yes.
that place, and we had a great time. And after that, life just has taken me to different places. I'm a graphic designer, so I do arts, and I like to draw and things like that. And now I'm a mold assessor, which is something completely different for what I went to school for.
I wanted to go in deep about that, but go back into okay. Let's go back. Let's go backtrack. So when I met Carlitos, we became friends, and we after social media kind of took off, as a friendship and Facebook and all that, we kept in contact. I was doing biomedical engineering when I went to college. Then I left Miami because this was back then in Fort Lauderdale, Miami. With Carlos, we have always had a good friendship. And then when I started my business, you were my biggest, supporter into any time that I had something, boom, you were able to help. But aside from that, from the quote that we chose, that the world is better because you're in it, and don't forget that. When I used to talk to Carlos and I had something going on in my life, I felt that both of us were like almost on the same path spiritually, or maybe we had a tough time in some area. And now that it has been, I don't know, 20 years, 15
About, yeah,
years.
somewhere around there,
Yeah,
somewhere around there, 15. I don't know who's counting.
and now that we're in different business mindset and different mindset, now it's like we laugh about all these mistakes and all these things that we go through, but at the same time, we when we're like in the very big downfall of life, we're like, okay, let's not fight. I'm not gonna.
I don't wanna say downfall. I will say the transitions that we go through. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like life has ups and downs. If it's flat, it means you're dead. So at this point, what I think is that on those transitions when you're going either downwards or you're just hit rock bottom and you're going upwards, eventually you realize that the impact that some people have in your life. If you're going through a really tough time, and when you see that person maybe going through a rough time, right? That person that was your support system at one point, they're going through a rough time. You realize that, hey, you know what, you helped me out through this. If it wasn't because of that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And it goes both ways. So like I said at the beginning, is not taking for granted what we really mean to a lot of people. And it can be in the streets. Like I said, I like to talk as many of the people that knows me, they will say that I can talk anybody's ears off. But yeah, like I will talk to different people, and I would just like to hear their point of view. And if they're going through a tough time, I try to find something that is valuable to them, just to make them laugh or maybe uh, step out of that hole
Which is
that
good.
they're in.
Uh, which I love it. But at the same time, sometimes when, okay, it is difficult for people to grasp the deep sense that sometimes whatever we talk, we say, or we act on certain moments will make it or break it for somebody. So I just wanted to point out something that you said, um, regarding depression and regarding those, like I felt it was, there were downfalls, right? So I went through a lot of depressions. I didn't know. I went through PTSD and postpartum depressions that I never caught up because I was always so used to being on this roller coaster of feeling bad, not feeling good enough, not feeling, And I found that people that understand how I've been there, they're more open to be gentle with people, like accommodating. Like they're able to tell, like, I don't know, it's a soul search, is a spirituality, or they've been there, done that, whatever.
Yeah, I think that it takes one to know one.
Yeah,
Like if you've been through a tough situation, you can look at someone, you're like, yeah, you're not having the greatest time right now. It's like,
yeah,
and you see them, and
empathy that you can have with them. But
yeah.
on another note, you can find these people that are not so nice, and that you, if you have, and I'm sorry if I laugh, if you're going through depression and you just want to not having it anymore, and I have those two times that I said, that's it, that's the end of my life. And just because a therapist, my first time was, I was going through a really hard time. I didn't know I was pregnant, and I was depressed. I was shaving myself, and I had the darkest thoughts whatsoever. If it wasn't for a call that came up, somebody was calling me, I wouldn't react. And I don't remember who it was, but I know it made a difference. And the second time I was walking on the beach in Miami, and I almost jumped. And what made me change my mind, first, it was my son, because I had my son back then. But second, it was a lady who was walking by. And I said, no, why am I dying? Why am I going to the easy way if I have a son? And then, it made me realize, but there are some people that when you're going through that dark moment, make certain comments that I'm like, listen, it seems like you have never been there. Like people who will say, well, if you're depressed, why are you depending on the system? Or if you're so depressed and blah, blah, blah. Like comments that are like,
But and I have my 2 cents about that. And sometimes it's about communication. Not a lot of people, they know how to communicate with each other, right? And for some people, a laugh about this matter can be very delicate. You and me can take it as dark humor, and if we've been through toughest times, or like a time that you already came out, you're going to use humor as a relief,
as a
for
scapegoat.
that pain that you felt. And like sometimes we can approach it in a in maybe in a cynical way,
Oh
where
yeah,
we tell them it's like, hey, look, it's like, oh, it's not so bad, But here's my take, and this is something that I think I said to you once,
mm,
and it was, that's your process. You gotta go through that shit. You gotta go through that, what you're going through right now, and until you get tired of that, you can
hated you
get
for that.
yourself. I get that a lot. Um, but
No, but
it is what it is.
it's true because look, so my therapist back in Miami, she used to do therapy in video, and then she says, Diana, why are you laughing so much? I'm like, what do you want me to do? Cry? But
Exactly.
she taught me that that's a scapegoat. That's just a shield that you want to put in when you don't want to heal yourself
Is it? Or is it? Yes, it is a coping mechanism,
in. And
but
that
also,
it was back then. It was Carlitos because now
okay.
it's different. Now I just laugh about things just because you know what? At the end of the day, I will prefer to put energy laughing than cry, or I have cried enough about it. But I respected the way she said it because the point that she was making, it was like, Diana, you don't want to heal. Don't give me the BS. Don't give me this Diana that I know in social media and then in the sessions that you laugh, that you're making fun out of it, when deep inside you're hurting so much that you don't want to deal with it.
But again, that's that comes from two different places. One is what you're saying is that you're still working through that, and that's your way to acknowledge what's going on. You acknowledge your pain through laughter, right? For
Maybe.
some people, at least for me, and again, it takes one to know one. When you're in that situation, it's like, hey, you know what is the best thing that I can do right now? Do you want to be listened? And sometimes it's about just asking a simple question. Do you want me to just listen and shut up and let you talk? I can be that person. If not, do you want me to say something? I'm gonna say something anyways, but I'm just giving you a fair warning.
You don't keep it to yourself. That's a big like, no, Carlitos is not alive.
Yeah.
Or he's
Yeah,
busy.
and yeah, if yeah, like sometimes I will say that uncomfortable thing, like, hey, I know you might not want to listen to it right now, but it is what it is, and sometimes it takes that little snap, somebody to make you think about it. That, hey, you know what? Yeah, I could be on the wrong. Maybe I'm the one who's acting up, and maybe is not so much their fault, but I'm reflecting, you know, what I'm feeling towards them,
That's true.
and in those situations, that, like, yeah, I'm just reflecting on what I have, and I just want to make you pay for it, even though you have nothing to do with it.
So the
Hey,
punching bag at the moment.
yeah, and hey, sometimes there are people that are up to, hey, you want to be a punching bag. All right, let's go ahead, let's go for it. And like sometimes, but you gotta communicate that, hey, if that's what you want, I can be that right now, I cannot be that right now. And if you approach those conversations, because a lot of people are bitter, and they don't want to be vulnerable in those situations, they're gonna see it as a sign of weakness. And and a lot of people, they have that pride or that ego, or I don't know how you want to call it, where they don't want to expose their weakness. It's like, yeah, I'm going through a tough time, but I don't want to tell you that, I don't have any money, or I'm going through a divorce, or I'm going through this, or my kids are going through this. It's different things, and it's how you approach it.
Or when you're used to have a shield. So in my personal case, a lot of people is like, but Diana, I cannot tell that you're going through A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, well, you haven't seen my social media because I share a lot. But aside from that, the physical manifestations of my, chronic illness, my, I don't know, my ADHD that acts up, and many things that I go through, right? Many people, the ones that know me, still find it hard, to tell. And then the ones that who do not know me, and I start sharing, stuff, they're like, I cannot tell that. And so I feel that sometimes we go through these, or we have these faces, this mask, that I need to be this way for you because we're used to it. That's part of society. Part of society is that I cannot be myself in the business field. In the business field, you cannot be yourself because then you're taken
I
as
mean,
you're not seriously enough.
you could, but it goes back to that communication. Because here's one of the things: I always try to be the most authentic self in every situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can dull it down a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to be as inappropriate as I could be. But that's one of the things when I'm doing inspections. If I'm interacting with people, if if the conversation allows for me to be extra funny, is knowing how to read those cues. It's not like the world is not telling you not to be yourself. It's, hey, you gotta listen, because not everybody's going to be the right um audience for you.
Yeah.
And it could be friends, it could be family, it could be unknown people, it could be business people. I've dealt with business situations where, hey, you have to act a little bit more serious. Hey, sometimes you can be a little bit more relaxed, but also you got to manage that particular thing with those people, because you don't know what's their agenda at the end of the day.
Exactly. And that's my point. You okay, I think we grew up with this mindset, and maybe because of the Colombian way as well as American, and I think it's just something that we grew up with, and nowadays that we embrace it more. We have to be this certain way in different scenarios, because if you're not this way, you're Carlos. Tell me the
No,
truth.
no, no. You're right. You're totally right. Yes, that's how they brainwash us. They
Yeah,
tell us that we have to be in a certain way, and they give you the education or the formation that, hey, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that.
exactly,
What's acceptable for society? But
exactly.
again, but here's one of the things: is it's up to you to identify what's right and what's wrong,
Yes,
right? And a lot of people, they don't have that. They will have they can be I don't know, they can be inappropriate or make inappropriate comments in a meeting. There is a time and a place for everything. So it's not like the world is telling you not to be something. It's for you to find a way to be your most authentic self, and be appropriate depending on the situation. But like I said, a lot of people, they're not that. And here's one of the things: me through multiple like stages of my life, where you seen me serious, where you seen me not so serious, where you see me drunk, where you see me anything that I've been around you. But you always see me, and that doesn't take away the respect that you have me, or the appreciation that you have for me.
yes, no, that's true. But because I know you
and and and
started
we work together, so we did
so
it in a professional manner.
together and we do business together. But when I go to networking events, just giving you an example, right? Um, they don't embrace the fact of being the genuinity, or the vulnerability, or rawness as a person. There's, like you said,
Yes.
yes, there is a time and place for everything, right? Yes, but the people that I connect with the most are the ones that are like this, like us, right?
Hmm.
For me, it's challenging, and just tell me, I know I'm wrong, maybe because of the way I think. I don't find it fun. I don't find it. It's just some disconnection that I have with people. Maybe it's the fact that when you
I
are yourself, you get you get like shelter out. Like, maybe I'm Hispanic. I'm a woman.
I,
I'm
I
Colombian.
and I agree with you.
Okay, so it's
It's
like
rough.
everything against me. If you're in my line of business, and today I was in a meeting like that with a lady, we go to networking events and we do digital marketing, and we come across like, okay, the girl, the lady, the social media girl, and it's like, I'm not a girl. Thank you very much for no, thank you very much for the label of the Hispanic, or these labels. But if you, Carlos, go to an event and do the same thing that I do, they will respect you for it.
Well, here's one of the things, and that's something that I said earlier, and is knowing your audience. A lot of times you gotta
Yeah.
have a preview conversation, because that's one of the things. I try to be as personal as I can with everybody around me, so everybody, when they're talking to me, they're getting a very personalized experience. Why? Because I will, and you know it firsthand. If we're going to talk about something serious or business, I start behaving in that matter. I'm not going to stop being myself, and I'm going to throw a joke here and there inappropriate comment here or whatever, right? But what I'm saying is that once you know your audience, as regard to who are you sharing this, are they interested in what you gotta say? Maybe not everybody is, you know.
Not
And
every.
guess what? Some people use it. Some people use it as leverage to judge you. And on those situations, hey, if you're okay with that judgment, if you're okay being out there and putting yourself, exposing yourself to this criticism,
Yes.
is that's on you. But the thing is that, and we were just talking about this today before
No,
the podcast,
that's your fault. Yes.
right? So that's one of the things we're talking
Because
about.
I
That is
really
like,
got there. Because I was the one who is big there, and you know what? Why? But no, I'm not okay with that. I'm sorry. I'm not okay with that, and I'm against it. Yes, I can be in certain situations that hey, I put myself out there, but at the same time, it's like the other. Okay, I cannot change people's mindset. That's it. I cannot change
no.
people's behavior. What I'm not okay with is the fact that when you show your true self or your essence, right, you get misjudged by that. And it's nothing about business skills and or being talking about things that you shouldn't or sharing things that you shouldn't. I feel just maybe in United States, maybe because I have been in South Carolina and Texas, it's a whole different world. Maybe because I'm a woman too, Curtis. You being in business, you do construction, you do a lot of commercial and residential things. When a woman, it's very straightforward. That's not okay. Socially, it's not okay because
I think it's a demeanor.
we can come across as what?
Well, here's one of the things, and I've met women in this line of business that they are absolutely amazing at what they do, and they don't give out too much of themselves, but they give enough to for you to be more approachable, or it takes it's a different situation. So, in especially for women, I know is delicate, the oversharing, because some people they want to, or they will take advantage of that information.
Or
but
exactly,
that's the situation. At least for me,
exactly.
if I share something, is because I'm dealing with I'm willing to deal with the consequences that it comes. Like right now we're doing this, and I'm totally okay with the consequences that this comes with, 'cause I don't know what's going to come out. I'm serious.
Yes,
and
it's true.
and that's the reason that I told you that I wanted to go live.
Carlitos, you need to go live with me, and right now.
Well, I didn't have too much time to think about it. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. But if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. Because again, like, as our conversations go, and the same with multiple conversations that I have, they're not rehearsed. You know, this is what you get, and that's the most authentic thing that you can do for anybody.
Yes, yes, it's true. But going back to the point of the mask that you should have, yes, there is a moment and there is a point, and and everything. But I feel I'm not okay with the fact that sometimes I don't know. It's just maybe as a woman, as Hispanic, I feel sometimes people are very. They do things like in a demeaning way just because you try to be yourself, and they see you as a competition because they think you're going with an agenda, which I don't. I'm against all that, and maybe I perceive those kind of energies and things.
Mm, Well, I mean, if you don't have it, what are you thinking about it? If you don't have the agenda, if you don't care about the competition, the thing is that, and that's the most genuine thing that you can do, is that no matter what they think, you're gonna keep being yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
So
I think you know what, I should be just like the other ladies, the sales,
why?
yes, and being a
Well,
no,
I mean,
that's not me. But okay, so to give you the example of why am I saying that, or not example, but just the story of it. I was in a lunch today. No, it was a brunch, right? I was meeting
mhm,
somebody that I met in the networking event yesterday. We were following up, and I thought it was interesting because he was fixing credits and things like that. to do personal and business loan. And I thought, hey, for my business owners, great, because then I can, help them. You're good with your credit, whatever. Those were my thoughts. So I went to the meeting and I met the guy, and then I met a lady, and she was in the same field as me. Lovely. She's beautiful as a person. We had a genuine conversation, right? The conversation took us to the day before. When I presented myself, it was 30 seconds, and they were talking about the competition. Hey, she came across very tough on you. And I'm like, really? I did. Well, I don't think about those things anymore, because before it was like you said, so why are you thinking about it? Now I don't think about those things, except it's a waste of time and a waste of energy for me. But during the conversation, he was telling me, well, the energy shifted in the room, and this is like 40 people that were there. Everybody's like eyes on you when you present your thing. It's a 30-second elevator pitch, right? We're in the same field. She does SEO. I do different things. But when she did present herself and everything, apparently she looked at me like, oh, you do the same thing as me. And so it's this vibe, it's this demeanor, and then I'm okay that we're in the same field. I'm okay that we do the same thing. But that doesn't take away the fact that I can say hi to you, present myself, introduce myself, because we never know. We might be doing business together. We might be doing things. So in the business field, it's so rough out there to be with people like that. Because when you're starting, so this lady that I met today, she was telling me, look, I come from corporate and I'm doing as a startup. I just started like a few months ago. So for her, it's very difficult. And I understood. I'm like, I understand. Because before, you used to carry this label of your, the company that you used to work with. And now you see the eagles, or like we call it in business, the sharks. And then you see the ones that are there for an agenda. And it's so hard. So just to put it out there as the perspective as business owner, and that influences your mental health as well. Because
definitely.
that a person who is vulnerable and, for example, maybe got invited because, hey, you're gonna get business, you're gonna get clients, and they sell you this bubble of like, okay, networking will help you do all of this. And then a vulnerable person goes and you have these type of experiences. I said, wow, anybody can be in the down mode.
Correct. And look, and I agree with you on that one in so many things. As far as the networking portion of it, in my industry, is construction, is insurance, restoration. And right now I'm in the Cape Coral area, which they just got hit by a hurricane, and that's something that you learn here in the same industry, which is there is a lot of competition in the South Florida area. A lot of people are over here helping each other out, building those relationships, building alliances, because what they want to do, what is their main goal? If it's to accomplish something, if you want to help people grow their business, hey, look, we can learn from each other. Oh, in my situation, we want to get back, we want to help the people getting back their home and their lives after like such a catastrophic loss, and it's depending on your demeanor. If that's their agenda, you don't have to care about that. And that's just my opinion, because sometimes you see them. I go into meetings, I go into networkings as well with people for the same industry, and believe it or not, I seen both responses. So which one do you want to take? Which one do you want to give? Do you want to be the voice of help? Do you want to be that person that, hey, you know what, this person is approachable, this person can contribute to the conversation, I would like to have him here, and hey, you know what, hey, I have a question, look, I run into this situation, can you help me out? Like, yeah, you know what, I will do it this way. And that's something that even from the people that train me, my mentors, that at one point they were my bosses, I admired them for that. And that's something that we can still have a conversation about, even if if we're competition right now, right? But we can call each other, and if see something, hey, look, hey, you want to help me with this, can you help me with that? And even though we are competition, we don't treat ourselves like competition, right?
Exactly. Yes. And that's something that I shared with the lady. And then today, the lady was talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's personality too. We don't know what people have been through, and sometimes some people come across like these salespeople that in reality they don't want to get into it, but they have so much personal issues at the same time. So I don't like to judge, but it's just a mask that I'm not okay with, you know? Because at the end of the day, I'm a believer that whatever you put in the world, like we have as a topic,
So if that doesn't really matter to you,
well,
why? I mean, if you think about it, I mean,
well,
so it does matter.
well,
You said that you didn't care, but you do.
no, it's the fact that I love to talk about it because I think it's everybody's cup of tea every day when you're in the world that you're like face to face, customer service, sales, or things like that. In the professional level as well as the this level or low level, it's the fact of people having a two face type of personality, and I'm not okay with that. I just hate
But that's the world, you know. Like
that.
there are a lot of things that I don't like about how things are handled in the governments with people, you know, with kindness, you know. And sometimes it can be just at a red light where like if somebody is gonna run it over, or you know, there is everything that you will see out there. You cannot escape it, but
That's right.
you can actually choose how you react to those situations and what you're gonna get out of them, right? You can be dealt the worst card, the worst hand in poker, but it's how is what you're going to do with those cards, right? So yeah, and in those situations, it's just a matter of what you're giving, right? You just
Yes,
keep giving.
that's true. And I can be really bad in poker because they can tell my face, everything.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they can do the same on mine, you know. But it's not about
Wait
that
a
even.
second,
It's
Carlitos.
just
I think I'm losing you.
you're losing me. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Okay. Hello.
Hello?
Okay, there you go.
Okay, give me one moment.
Sorry, we have some technical issues over here, both of us.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Thank you, Carlitos. So
No, thank you.
I think we're good with that topic because then you're gonna start telling me my. But tell me, Carlitos, regarding your experience in Cape Coral, um, I think it made a change in your mindset as well. Don't you think?
Oh, it definitely is. This is not my first hurricane. I do chase storms for a living, and I've been doing it for the past 3 years, and I got some extensive training through Irma when it hit us. Um, and every time that you see people, you can see the shift in the community. Because when everybody's on the same boat,
Mm-hmm.
everybody wanna help each other out, you know. And I seen it. I saw it in Pensacola. I saw it in New Orleans. I saw it here. You know, where in these times, and I know the hurricanes that I experienced myself. You know, back in 2005 or the 2006, seven, Charlie and Wilma and Katrina when it hit us. All
Yes.
you see is people trying to build a community, and that's when you get to know your neighbors. And a lot of times this is the only time where you're going to have the opportunity to meet them, and it's to help each other out. So yes, and it definitely has changed my perspective in a lot of other ways. And yeah, and I feel lucky and blessed to be in the position that I'm in right now, you know, where I'm able to help people the best way I can. You can be either with a conversation, because on my profession, not everybody's going to need a mold assessor or someone that is going to just find things in their home, right? And in one of the experiences that I had is I inspected a condo that the roof blew off, and it was this lady that she lost everything. Like she had her whole life in that condo, and she was away, and when she came back, no roof, and all her things, they were soaked and wet, and they were damaged. So
It's
Like
hard.
I said, it is, and I couldn't do anything for her other than listen. And the thing is, that it was her birthday when it hit. So and it makes you think. It's like, oh shoot, like what a way to
No, no, I'm sorry to laugh.
what a way to celebrate.
Yes. So that is when humor can help us.
Exactly, exactly. But in those situations, how can you humor that situation? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, new year, new life.
Well, I'm not gonna laugh, but yeah, sorry.
You can always see a silver lining on these situations.
It's
Hey,
true.
look, you know what? You're gonna get to remodel your apartment again. You're getting new furniture. Hey, that must be exciting, right? And she was a realtor, so hey, do you have
Oh,
any new ideas that you can? It's depending on how you're going to come up, but a lot of times she just wanted someone to listen and she just wanted to vent.
yeah, it's hard, and that's what I think most of the people are really looking for. So when you chose the quote, I think it's so deep into the sense of that's what in reality humans and that makes us humans when we really want to just connect. Something that I learned from you, and I'm so thankful, Carlitos, is I know in those moments that I just wanted to kill the world. And you said to me, Diana, do you need to, no, you were the one who told me you needed to vent and you didn't need solutions. And
Yes.
I'm like giving you solutions. I got so used to giving solutions to people. And let me tell you why it hurt me so much. I confess over here why. It hurt me because I didn't realize what I was doing. That I guess in my whole life, I always wanted to give solutions and was used to um Jesus Christ, my brain went frozen.
I know. It's part of the process, and it's part of the process. And
Like,
here's what I gotta tell you about that.
well,
So,
we're kind of embarrassing. You see, this is the embarrassing moments of my brain. My fibromyalgia brain, whatever you want to call it. It's like
just no, just
Spanish.
let me save you. Let me save you right there. So in those situations, there are a lot of times where we're used to certain behaviors, right? So we're used to be the
Yeah,
saviors. But
yeah,
maybe when you see the hero, the person that you can always rely on when there's in their down moment, then you realize like, hey, you know what? Like, hey, thanks to you, you made me be who I am right now. You helped me live from that bottom or that downfall that I had.
yes.
So
Well,
and that's when you're like, you know what, you helped me to become this. So come
yeah.
on, it's like, don't forget that shit. You're invaluable.
But in that moment, I wanted to kill Carlos. When he said to me, like, I don't need solutions. And it was the first time he talked to me in a bad way. And I was
Yeah, it takes a lot.
I was very sensitive at that moment for many things. And I was with my kids. And I remember I cried so much, but I wasn't crying because of whatever you did or said. I cried because I was like, you know what? It's so true. Like, why am I giving you solutions when I'm not listening? When I'm not getting the point across? You're looking at me like you're right, right? Well, check, check, check. But no, but look, it made me realize in a hard way that what my therapist had been trying for years to tell me. And she told me, Diana, you were the mom of your parents. You were the mom of your grandma. You were the mom of your mom, your dad. Like I was the mom of everyone. And every time that I think about things, I hear her. You know, when you have that person that you can hear them, and I'm like, I need to stop that. And when you're trying to stop something, like it happens to your life more often. And that was a moment that happened to me. And when I'm a mom, now that I have two kids, I'm not able to be a mom because I'm so tired emotionally.
But and building a little bit on that, and sometimes what we need is to give ourselves what we give to others. All the solutions that you give to your loved ones, all the support that you're giving to them, are you giving that to yourself? And me personally, I had to do that at one point. and I think it is part of the conversation that we were having, and it's a reoccurring topic that sometimes we have. But sometimes you gotta give a little bit of that love to yourself. You gotta give a little bit of that tenderness or that support. It's like, hey, look, you know what? If I can do this for somebody else that I love, can I do that for myself? Do I love myself enough to give that to myself? And sometimes it's hard to realize that, and it's something that a lot of people take for granted, and
Yes.
they don't realize that, hey, look, you made me realize this. That's cool. Appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a loving hate relationship, because you're like, and I'm pretty sure sometimes you hesitate to call me because you're like, I want to talk to him, but I don't want to listen what he has to say, because I know he's gonna say something that is going to slap me in the face, and I just don't want to deal with it right now. And I'm pretty sure I like a lot of people, they avoid me because of that. Because yes, I can have a cool conversation, but are you ready to listen what I gotta say? And I don't have a filter, so
And I don't have a filter either, which then
yeah.
I realized you know what? Because I have a friend, she's a psychologist, right? And my best friend used to tell me, Diana, you just spill it out all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just tell the things how it is, like how I think. And if you're not ready for it, I'm sorry for you.
Oh no, I give you a fair warning, like I told you, right?
Yes. But then when it hits your, when you have a mirror, and that moment I had a mirror with you, I'm like, wow, this is what I've been doing for years. This is what I've been doing with everybody, and I didn't realize. And this is what I've been doing that might make or break a relationship. So many friendships that maybe are not longer there because of the way that I portray myself, and maybe because I wasn't ready to listen, but I was always, giving solutions, and they're not ready for the solutions. So,
And not even if they're not ready, they don't want them. They're happy with their life, and even if they're miserable with their life, they are content in that misery. And that's one of the things that I realized. A
yeah,
lot of people, they can be in pain, and you can give them the solution, but they like where they're staying, and that's their comfort zone. Their comfort zone is pain. They're used to dealing with that, and they'll rather just build a shell around themselves, and build that other personality or that other face that you mentioned earlier, where hey, you know what, let me put up this face, and I don't have to deal with any of that. Or maybe it does matter, but nobody's going to see me suffer.
exactly.
And they have different
Coping mechanisms,
coping mechanisms, but they also have different motives, or what's the name, shoot, um they
motivation.
have other reasons. They have other reasons what they are like that. The reason is because, oh, they're a single mother, and they need to be tough for their kids. They need to show them that, hey, you know what, this is nothing is gonna break me. In those situations, it's understandable. But again, is that healthy?
Consequences are later on, and that's something you touch a point that is so true. So one of the things that I fought against, maybe my line of motherhood, right? My line of mom, aunts, and all of them. Most of them have been single moms, one time or another, but they never share with the kids that they became single. Like, literally, my trauma has been one day I'm here, family, happy dandy, and then another day, boom, I didn't have it. And this happened with all my mother's side, right? And long story short, after two cancers and huge traumas and things, now I'm paying the consequences of this PTSD or whatever they call it. And this trauma was mainly as a kid. They didn't have the tools to share with me, hey, this is what is happening. We're gonna go through this. Let's get through this. Single moms, and just to tell you, I know your side. Don't push me, Carlitos. Wait a second.
No, 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 no. I know.
I have a friend. She's from Ukraine, and I love her to pieces. But she showed me the tough side, right? So when she cried, I'm like, cry it out. You need to cry it out. You need to show your kid that he's gonna be okay and you're gonna be okay. So when I fell into pieces that didn't have anything, she came to my rescue. And she could be like the toughest woman you will ever meet. A badass, makes money, and she's like badass woman as a person, as a everything. But when it comes to feelings, then she started hurting feelings, and I'm like, wow, this is not the friend that I knew before. This is not the friend that I know deep inside is within her. But then this is the point where I'm telling you, yes, sometimes we want to show we're the toughest person, but deep inside we're hurting other people. And what we don't realize is, listen, as kids, now that I'm a mom, I have hurt my kids the same way. I have replicated this trauma that I had as a kid, replicated to them. And now I'm responsible because I have better tools, I have better knowledge. I'm not blaming anybody. But long story short, most of the diseases that my family, the cancer, and almost die on the table just because we had unresolved issues, or we had so much anger, sadness, depression, anxiety, trauma inside. We And just from my experience, from my mother's side, we learned and had the habit of being this tough person, tough cookie, because you gotta tough it up. You gotta be tough, and that's what it is. Whatever you go through, you don't tell anybody. You just need to go through whatever you need to go through. You don't share. You don't talk. You don't.
No, and trust me, I seen the similar scenario in friends, family, and it touches really close to my heart because like they don't show to their kids the hell that they're living because they want to show them that everything is okay because they can rely on them. But not making us aware of of their pain. You make us think that it's not there, of the hardships, like sometimes it's good to go through hardships together. But if you're going through a hardship alone, then you're going to resent them because at the end of the day, you're hurting yourself. You're not only hurting your kids with your behavior, but you're hurting yourself because you're going to create that resentment towards them.
And that's what happened
You
to
know,
me. I love my
and
mom to pieces, but I resented my whole life the fact that she never left, or she never left in the way that she should have. And maybe because I didn't know, and as a mom, I replicated that. When I left, it was like that pain and that living like, I don't want my kids to go through whatever I did. And my psychologist said, Diana, you know what? You're doing it. You're hurting your daughter. You're disclosing too much. So it's like this whole scenario of like, you don't want your kids to go through the trauma that you've been through, but at the same time you live it again, because we go through patterns. When you really cut those patterns, which is the hardest thing ever.
I think is sorry. I think it's based on the amount of work that you put into those situations. If it's something that you really want to improve and if it's something that you're aware of and you're working on those things, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe you were able to repair the damage. Maybe you're able to ease up the situation if you are able to communicate. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, it goes back to the same thing that I say initially, which is communication. If you're able to communicate and say, hey, look, oh, in this situation, you get with your kids, do you remember that, hey, look, this thing unfortunately is not working out, or just simply, being able to transfer, hey, look, right now we're not the happiest couple, so I'd rather walk away. Hey, look, right now we're not good for each other, and we outgrew each other, and sometimes we have the responsibility that, hey, you know what, I don't want to walk away from this because like I don't want them to grow with a dad, or there are so many conflicting thoughts that everybody has, and it's based on their own experience.
That's true. And it's
So,
your awareness at the end of the day, and what you want to do, and like you said, communication too. Um,
well, and if you think about it, the support system will come
oh,
also based on that. Because
right.
here's one of the things, like right now, we are able to talk about it, right? But maybe in another situation where you are more vulnerable, I might say the same thing in the same tone, but you're not ready to listen. And sometimes it kind of just blurs out on the background. It's like, I don't know what you said. I know you say something meaningful, but and sometimes it happens to me all the time with conversations where they give me something really good and I'm like, ooh, that's amazing, I gotta apply that, and it's the first thing that I forget. And I'm like, oh, and I feel guilty for that because, hey, that's the freaking solution.
Well, sometimes we're not ready to listen. But Carlitos, thank you so much. I know for sure we're gonna dive into other topics,
Oh
and
yeah.
thank you for sharing the time with me. I don't want to extend like for so long, but usually in the podcast I have three pills, three takeaways. So give me three takeaways from this conversation and the topic that we have dive into. The quote that the world is better because you're in it, and don't forget that shit. So tell me from your standpoint, three takeaways, three pills, three.
First of all, the gratefulness, because remember that you're not only saying that to yourself, but you can say it to other people. So that would be the first one. It's very important to acknowledge not only yourself, but show the same love to the people that is been there for you. The second thing that this conversation is kind of highlighting is the know your audience. Like when you're going to share, where you're in a situation, yes, you want to be the most vulnerable person, or the most uh truthful like um
Authenticity.
representation of yourself. Yeah, the most authentic version of yourself. But again, not everybody's ready to do that, uh and I would say the third one, it will be uh about the last topic that we were talking. Sometimes the vulnerability within your family, it is important. It is important to let them know, hey, look, we're going through this. And we might know, you might not like feel it the same way that I am, but I'm just letting you know. And let's say, for instance, if you are in a tough situation, you can explain it with toys. It's like, hey, look, how do you feel about this?
Yes.
Looking for a way, on a good way
Engage
to
them.
explain that, engage them, and explain them the process that you're going through. And like
Yes.
some movies, they're amazing for that.
That is true.
And
My psychologist, and that's a good takeaway too. One of the things that she said is when you explain to kids and to anybody, kids, family members, grandparents, when you engage them through your process, I think it's a little bit easier.
yeah.
Whatever process you go through, sickness, divorce, maybe a new business, or maybe the fact that you were laid off, a hurricane, a disaster, something that you go through. When you have open line communications with your loved ones, your kids, or whoever is next to you, or even your friends, I think they stand in a different point of view and they're able to really push you to be better, or you really can tell, to for them to back away and then give you time because you're going through a process. It's not that your reaction is something out of nowhere. It's
Hmm.
from somewhere. So that's a lovely takeaway. Thank you so much, Carlitos.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. But yeah,
Yay!
looking forward for the next one.
Definitely we will. Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for connecting. And you have our Instagrams here at the bottom. IG Gianni C. Arisa, and then Carlitos is Carlitos Way. That is Krlitos Way. I'm trying to read it.
There you go.
Those listeners and Spotify. So thank you so much, and I will leave you with the end.
All right.
This is not a podcast. This is my inner voice. My inner voice.